90% of teams satisfying neither speed nor quality picked the wrong methodology. By the end, you will know the 3C test that guarantees you never make that mistake. It was month 5 of a 12-month ERP rollout at a Fortune 500 company. The requirements document was 400 pages long. Nobody had talked to a single end user since January. And the project manager had just discovered that the core module they built first was now completely irrelevant. 66% of software projects either fail or face serious challenges, according to the Standish Group. And the number one reason is not bad developers or tight budgets. It is choosing the wrong approach before the first line of code is even written. By the end of this video, you will know exactly when to use Agile, when to use Waterfall, and when the answer is actually neither. Let us start with Waterfall because it came first and it still dominates more industries than you think. Waterfall is a sequential, phase-based approach where you complete one stage entirely before moving to the next. You gather all requirements up front, then you design the full system, then you build it, then you test it, then you deploy it. Think of it like constructing a building. You would never pour the foundation, then decide halfway through that you actually want 3 more floors. Boeing uses Waterfall for aircraft systems because when lives are at stake, you cannot iterate your way to safety. NASA used Waterfall to land rovers on Mars because you get exactly one chance to deploy. The strength of Waterfall is predictability. Timelines are fixed, budgets are estimated upfront, and every stakeholder knows exactly what they are getting. But here is where Waterfall quietly destroys projects. The moment your requirements are wrong or incomplete, every phase built on top of them inherits that mistake. A 2020 McKinsey study found that large IT projects using purely sequential methods run 45% over budget on average. The real killer is that you do not discover problems until the testing phase, which is often months after the building phase ended. Remember that Fortune 500 company from the opening? They followed Waterfall perfectly. Every document was signed off, every milestone was hit. But the business had changed in 5 months and nobody had a mechanism to adapt. Waterfall assumes the world stays still while you build. And in most industries today, it simply does not. Now let us talk about Agile, the methodology that was supposed to fix everything. Agile is an iterative approach where you build in short cycles called sprints, usually 2 to 4 weeks long. Instead of defining everything up front, you define just enough to start, build a small working piece, get feedback, and adjust. Spotify famously organized its entire engineering culture around Agile principles using squads, tribes, and guilds. They shipped features weekly while competitors took quarters. Jeff Sutherland, one of the creators of Scrum, helped the FBI rescue a failed waterfall project called Sentinel by switching to Agile. The project went from $400 million over budget to delivered in 20 months. The power of Agile is adaptability. When the market shifts, when users surprise you, when a competitor launches something unexpected, Agile teams can pivot without burning everything down. But I need to be honest with you. Agile is not a magic fix and most teams implement it terribly. According to the State of Agile report, only 12% of organizations consider their Agile maturity high. The rest are doing what I call Agile theater. They renamed their meetings to stand-ups and their deadlines to sprints but changed nothing about how decisions are actually made. Agile fails when leadership demands fixed scope and fixed deadlines because that is just Waterfall wearing a hoodie. It also struggles in heavily regulated industries like healthcare devices or defense contracting where you legally need full documentation before you build. If your client needs a signed requirements document before approving budget, pure Agile will create more friction than it solves. The methodology is not the problem. The mismatch between methodology and context is the problem. So how do you actually choose? Here is a simple framework I call the 3C test. First, ask about clarity. Are your requirements clear and unlikely to change? If yes, Waterfall works. If requirements are fuzzy or evolving, lean Agile. Second, ask about consequences. What happens if you get it wrong on the first try? If failure is catastrophic like in medical devices or aerospace, Waterfall's upfront rigor is worth the cost. If you can recover, iterate, and improve, Agile gives you that flexibility. Third, ask about culture. Does your organization actually support collaboration, fast feedback, and empowered teams? If leadership still operates in a command and control style, Agile will fail regardless of what framework you adopt. And here is what most YouTube videos will not tell you. The best teams in the world use both. They use a hybrid approach. SpaceX uses Waterfall for mission-critical flight systems and Agile for their internal software tools. That is not indecision. That is intelligence. Here is what I want you to do in the next 10 minutes. Open your current project and ask yourself the 3C questions. Write down your answers for clarity, consequences, and culture. If all three point to the same methodology, commit to it fully and stop second-guessing. If they are mixed, you have just discovered why your project feels stuck in a hybrid model is your answer. Share your answers in the comments because I read every single one. The methodology does not matter if you pick it for the wrong reasons. Pick it for the right ones. Start today. Not tomorrow. Today. That's a wrap, thanks for watching. If this gave you one idea you can use today, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.